Let's jump over there to Genesis chapter 4, verses 2 through 8. Now Abel kept the flocks of sheep and goats, but Abel cultivated the ground. And over the course of time, Cain brought to the Lord an offering of the first fruit of the ground. But Abel brought an offering of the finest, firstborn of his flocks and fatty portions. And the Lord had regard for Abel and his offering. But for Cain and his offering, he had no respect. So Cain became extremely angry and indignant, and he looked annoyed and hostile. And the Lord said to Cain, "Why are you so angry? And why do you look annoyed? If you do well in believing me and doing what is acceptable and pleasing to me, will you not be accepted? And if you do not do well and ignore my instructions, sin crouches at your door. Its desire is for you to overpower you, but you must master it." Cain talked to Abel, his brother, about what God had said. And when they were alone working in the field, Cain attacked Abel, his brother, and killed. The Lord pointed out to me and said, "Daughter, this is a clear definition of what transaction and relationship look like. First, let's acknowledge the calling on Cain and Abel's life. Abel was called to maintain the flock, and Cain was called to cultivate the land. The word says that Cain gave God something. He didn't give him the first, he didn't give him the fives, he just gave him some. But Abel was very choosy with what he gave God. The word says the finest of the firstborn and the fatty portions, which in turn earned God's respect because he was choosy. Now the calling on Abel's life, we can see it's duplicated multiple times throughout the Bible. We can take Jacob and David, for example. Both of them were called to tend to the sheep, but they lived prolonged seasons within the shadows of their family. Nevertheless, were promoted to leadership within their proper seasons. The test for all of the Abels of the world is patience and endurance, which will eventually produce Galatians 6 and 9. Now Cain was called to cultivate the grounds, which is the original sin of Adam after they were kicked out of the Garden of Eden. Another person in the Bible that was called to cultivate the grounds was Esau. Now the cultivation of the ground is the original sin of man. And because the works are done by the hands of man, those that get wrapped up and lost in the sauce have a tendency to lose sight of the relationship with God because of the promotion of man within. They feel like they've done everything by themselves without God's help. That's why they think that he should just get what he gets and he shouldn't throw a fit. Romans 9:13 tells us, "As it was written, and as it will remain written, Jacob I loved, chose, protected, and blessed. But Esau I hated, held in disregard compared to Jacob." Most Bible scholars will tell you because God did not like how Esau didn't regard him. He believed more in what he saw with his fleshly eyes versus his spiritual eyes. And nevertheless, Esau was blessed because of who his father was. Typically, the black sheep is thrown into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. But for those who God loves, his hand is constantly on them. Adam, Cain, Esau, they never leave home to go on any kind of pilgrimage or journey for anything else because their home was made to be a comfort place for them. Abel's, the Jacobs, the Davids, the world is their training ground because the Lord calls them to take care of nations and not necessarily the home front. Now, Cain killing Abel is not only just the first murder in the Bible, but it's the first time we see sibling rivalry and jealousy. My pastor said the other day, the top 3 sins that separate us from God is pride, ego, and jealousy. As you can see in the passage that we're talking about today, all 3 of them are present. The test for both of them was, can you be obedient to me or not? Yes, Abels of the world, I'm going to lure you out into the wilderness to be tempted. The whole point is that you're supposed to be listening to my voice while you're out there so you don't get stuck in the wilderness for 40 years. And the whole test for the Cains is stop being envious of what everybody else got going on around you. Your job is to stay there and hold down the home front. If you're not paying attention to God, he will turn you over to your reprobate mind, which is very angry and murderous. The Lord is like, understand your role, understand your part, play it. You will be fruitful and multiply accordingly. Somebody out there needed this healing today. And I know this one is a bit of a long one, but I appreciate your patience to making it towards the end. The Lord is seeking family reconciliation within this season. And in order to heal, you have to understand what you are called to. Be blessed.